The SAT is our nation's most widely used college admissions test. It tests the reading, writing, and math skills that you learn throughout school, which are critical for success in college. Last year, 69% of our seniors took the SAT and scored an average score of 1571. So, what does it take to get the score you want? For students like Catherine who are preparing to take the SAT for the first time with just a few weeks left till test day, it's all about practicing and becoming familiar with the format and questions on the SAT. That's why students are here at Middle Creek High School's SAT prep class.
Like I said, a lot of it is we probably wouldn't study like we should if we didn't have this class, so it's really helpful doing that. And definitely just like going through the book helps and like practicing all the problems.
Well, once a week for 7 weeks, the kids come to a class where the first half they go to either math or English, and halfway through they will switch, and if they started out in English, they'll then go to math, and the math students will go to English.
The SAT is offered several times a year. Most students take the SAT for their first time during the spring of their junior year and a second time during the fall of their senior year.
Taking the SAT is very important, especially if you're planning to attend college and go to a university after high school. You definitely want to look into taking the SAT. We would suggest that students do some research on the school that they'd like to attend and see if that school wants them to take the SAT or if they require the ACT. And then take the appropriate test. But one of the best ways to prepare for the SAT is through rigorous coursework in high school.
I plan on taking it January 22nd. I'm really nervous because I want to go to UNC Chapel Hill, so.
It's common for students to feel nervous about the test, but one way to combat those nerves is to know what to expect.
The SAT is a test that tests students' reading level, test their writing ability, their thinking skills, their math skills, their logic skills. It's divided into 10 multiple choice sections, fill in the blank, and a writing section.
There's the verbal, the math, and the writing. And then what they do is when the students take the SAT, they take their highest combined score. So a student could take the SAT multiple times, and then each time for each part of the test, they combine those and look at their highest combined score.
The SAT is made up of 10 sections that include mathematics, critical reading and writing, and an essay. The critical reading, mathematics, and writing section of the SAT is scored on a 200 to 800 point scale for a possible total of 2,400 points. Students get 3 short breaks with a total test time of 3 hours and 45 minutes. So let's talk about the main components.
Math section includes now Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry. Until a couple of years ago, it was just Algebra 1 and Geometry, and now it is expanded to the Algebra 2. There are a combination of multiple choice and open-ended questions.
Well, the questions at the back are the most difficult. And so if you are spending all of your time on if there's 20 questions and you're spending all of your time on the, first 15 and you don't get to the last 5, it's okay. And because those are more difficult and those will take a lot more time. Sometimes if skipping around may help, but the easier questions are in the beginning. And so it's one of those things where everything's weighted the same, so it doesn't matter which questions you answer, just answer as many as you can correctly.
It's suggested that students bring a calculator. Many SAT guides give you helpful advice on how to make strategic guesses by narrowing down answer choices. That's one strategy students learn in this SAT prep class.
Another thing that's also good besides just the natural ability is being able to prepare yourself by buying some SAT prep books and just working some of those problems so you can familiarize yourself with the type of questions and the format of the test. I think a lot of times when students go in there, they're not sure what to expect because they just go and take it. And they don't realize that there's a lot of information and maybe different types of questions that they're not used to seeing.
The critical reading section consists of grammar, sentence completion, as well as reading passages.
The reading comprehension section is going to assess students, obviously, their comprehension, but not only of the test, but also of literary devices and literary terms such as main idea, theme, and so forth. There's also a multiple choice section that attests their grammar, where they're going to have to identify grammatical errors within sentences and also within passages to see if the sentences are ordered correctly, which order would be better, which sentences would make the flow of the passage better, and so forth.
Basically, we start with the premise that students aren't going to know all of the words on the SAT, and in fact there's some words that even we have to look up when we're teaching them, but you can guess your way around a lot of those words based on their roots and their prefixes and suffixes, other languages, other familiar words. So we teach them a lot of guessing strategies. We try to get them to read outside of class, because that's the #1 way to bring up a score.
The writing section includes a short essay.
The writing portion is almost as important as the other two portions. The writing portion of the SAT is not really about writing a perfect essay. It's about organizing your ideas and coming up with a few things that can support that organization. So organizing ideas, answering the question one way or the other, not sitting on the fence, and supporting those ideas on the writing portion of the SAT. Much more important than creating a perfect essay.
For the writing portion, the #1 strategy is to make a template. Once you see the question, don't just start writing. Begin with an outline of what you want to say.
Here's some tips for test day.
They can't really take anything except pencil and a calculator, a graphing calculator. They need to get a good night's sleep the night before. They need to eat breakfast before they leave. They need to make sure they're on time so they're not stressed out by trying to get there and be allowed to come in. They need their driver's license or a photo ID, or they won't be allowed in.
Wow, that's a lot. So let's recap. Make sure to bring a calculator and pencil. Get plenty of rest. Eat a balanced breakfast. Be on time. And bring a driver's license or photo ID. Anything else?
You may want to bring a couple snacks because it is a long test and you're allowed to eat during the breaks. And maybe some sort of watch or something to keep time.
If a student is nervous a month or two before the SAT, I say start reading. Start reading magazines, start reading newspapers, start reading books, read what your English teacher gives you, stop faking it. And that will be the most helpful thing that they'll be able to do.
Also, if you visit the SAT website, you can get a question of the day every day. So if you begin in your sophomore year, by the time you go to take it, you will have hundreds of questions that you're familiar with.
The College Board website can be found at www.collegeboard.com. It has lots of helpful information on the SAT. And finally, here's one last tip for those thinking about putting studying off till the last minute.
The research does show that last-minute cramming and studying is really not effective, but it is important to know what types of questions will be on the test.
So if you're ready to take the test, just relax and do your best. But remember, your score is not the only determining factor that colleges consider.
The SAT is important for college admission. However, it's not the only criteria that colleges review. They look at the student's grade point average, they look at the levels of courses that they took. Did they take AP and honors courses in high school? And how did they perform in those courses? So there's all kinds of information they look at. You know, students have to write essays as part of their application. They have to have recommendations from teachers and other folks who knew them in the community. So there's a lot of different things that they take into consideration. The SAT is one piece of that.
Of course, the best way to get ready for the SAT is to take challenging courses and study hard, and make sure you tap into your school as a resource.